So, hey y'all, it's almost the holidays. This is my second year of going through the holidays because I started the carnivore diet in January of 2023. So by the time Thanksgiving got here, I had been a carnivore for about 10 months. But that doesn't mean I still don't get a little apprehensive about, the holidays and, oh my gosh, what's the family going to think? And what am I going to eat when, I'm out of my routine? We're traveling and getting a little bit of that those feelings. People are going to look at me and they're going to feel, when I go to my in-laws, that no one cares. Number one, they really just don't care. They're too, people are not paying any attention to what I am eating or what I'm not eating, dealing with some of these feelings. So I wanted to tell you what keeps me doing the carnivore diet all of these months later, almost 2 years later, and how do I maintain it, my why. So it is the weekend before Thanksgiving. We are going to be traveling on, out of town. One thing though will be easier is that my side of the family, most everyone is carnivore, which big happy. So if you are new here, if this is the first time watching my channel, I'm glad you're here. And if you're welcome back, if you are a returning viewer. A little bit of background: I started the carnivore diet last January 2023 as an elimination diet because I ate something that caused like an inflammatory reaction, an allergic reaction, some kind of reaction that scared me. I have an extensive background with chronic or autoimmune illness, and I was so frustrated because I was trying to diet and be healthy and lose weight. I have struggled with, I had gained a significant amount of weight pretty quickly about 10 years ago. And I worked those 10 years to diet and I tried all of the things and I just never could lose weight. I was feeling very defeated and just hopeless, and desperate. Why am I having this reaction? And I found Michaela Peterson and I found the carnivore diet and I started that and I thought I'll do that for 90 days. Here we are almost 2 years later, and this is what keeps me doing that. In the very beginning, I had all over body inflammation. I'd had inflammation for so many years that I didn't even know that. A lot of my autoimmune illnesses, were based in auto inflammation or maybe insulin resistance. We don't know. No one knows. I don't think we'll ever know. For 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks, I did lion diet, which is just ruminant meat, which I was eating beef, salt, and water. I did that for 2 weeks because my inflammation was so out of control and it was coming out in my eye again. I had dealt with uveitis, which is just inflammation of the eye, and I felt that coming back. And that was not something that I wanted to experience again. The only thing that heals that is time. And, we don't even know what the source of it is in my case. I mean, I have some thoughts. I know why. But after I started the carnivore diet, the first thing I noticed that was a very noticeable improvement, and it was probably water weight, was my inflammation reduced pretty quickly, fast. And was it water weight? Yes. But it was enough of an improvement that I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll just keep going a little bit longer because I was already feeling the benefits. So the number one reason that I continue to do the carnivore diet, even when it's tough and everybody else is enjoying all of the decadent holiday foods, I don't want that inflammation to come back. I don't want my eyesight to be affected. I don't want any of the skin and sensory issues to come back. I don't want to retain water and fluid. I don't want my tinnitus, to get worse. I don't want my Meniere's disease and inner ear disease to go to my other ear, my good ear, because this one doesn't function at all. I don't want any of the inflammation to come back. The second reason is my anxiety. I realized my anxiety had decreased. It was 2 months after eating carnivore. That was a realization that I had. I really didn't understand my anxiety and how severe it had gotten until it had lessened and this load was off of my shoulders. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not having racing thoughts every single night before I'm going to bed to fall, that I'm not having those irrational racing thoughts when I lay down and it's time to fall asleep. When you have really high severe anxiety, you kind of live your life on guard and tensed up, like on the inside. And I wasn't having to do that all of the time. I was able to comfortably ride in the car as a passenger for the first time in so many years I can't even remember. And that happened really quickly. Like I said, I noticed it on a road trip on the way home, I would almost be on the edge of a panic attack for a considerable amount of time on a road trip. And it was irrational and I could not control it. And it was very difficult for my family to deal with. I couldn't sleep because any, my husband would break and I'd, what's wrong, what's wrong? And it was not the safest. I was causing everyone problems. That my anxiety had gotten so much better, and that was just in the first 2 months. If I just stick to what I love, which is beef, butter, bacon, eggs, I do great. A lot of things go along with that. My, being withdrawn and kind of this low level depression. It wasn't clinical depression. It wasn't anything like that. I had experienced some of that years before, but this was what we are told is just midlife lifestyle depression. That's what I was dealing with. That was gone. My mental clarity was coming back. So I could think clearly. I didn't even realize that I was having trouble thinking. Those are incredible things that you don't realize until it's come back. The brain fog started to lift and the fuzzy thoughts and not being able to hold a conversation very well. Number three, I think all of these are equally important. The third thing is I reversed my prediabetes. I had been pre-diabetic for at least 5 years. I know that for a fact. I went back in my records. No doctor ever told me. When it was measured was in 2019 when I presented for the first time with uveitis. Eye inflammation is directly linked to diabetes. And they did the blood test and it showed up that I was pre-diabetic. I was at 6 and my doctors didn't even tell me. That's reprehensible now that I think about it. Now that I know what I know, now that I did all the research, I cannot believe that no one ever told me that I was pre-diabetic. Eliminating carbs completely from my diet reversed my prediabetes. So down 50 pounds. I was never successful at losing weight and keeping it off. And I lost 35 pounds in about 9 months doing the carnivore diet. And then I've lost another 15 pounds since last year. So for another 12 months, I've lost another 15 pounds and I've maintained it. I'm down 4 sizes. Another benefit that makes this worthwhile for my hormones. So I have Graves' disease, which my thyroid doesn't function at all due to a treatment that I had for Graves' disease. And I am on permanent hormone replacement for my thyroid, and that has stabilized. That took a lot of tweaking, and it takes tweaking continuously. I have to continually tweak that. That's not something that will ever just be set and that this is what you do, because you can watch some of my other videos regarding that because it upsets me, and it helps me manage I'm shifting into menopause. I'm in perimenopause. And this keeps my hormones stabilized. So all of these things are connected and all of these things are important and vital to feeling my best. So they're all important. They're all equally as important. So my hormone, I also have a lot more energy. I have a lot more energy throughout the day. I was always a low energy person. And the energy part did take me a while to get to. It took about 9 months to get there because of my thyroid and managing that. I don't have to take naps every single day. I don't want to take naps. I don't want to sleep in the morning. I do like to go to bed early now, but that's just so I can get quality sleep. So speaking of sleep, number 5 is sleep. And I can go to bed. I read every single night. I always read before I go to sleep. And I wear blue blockers, clip-ons, and I will read my Kindle and I can maybe read for about 10 minutes, and then I fall asleep, and I sleep through the night. I always had trouble falling asleep because due to the anxiety and the racing thoughts, we couldn't even, in my house, we couldn't even talk about anything that might possibly be upsetting from 6 o'clock on, because I would obsess about irrational, intrusive thoughts of, well, what if this happens? And what if this happens? And it would keep me awake at night. And then I'd wake up in the night, um, and not be able to go back to sleep and have, hot flashes and sweating. I don't have that now. And and that is due to getting my hormones regulated, which by eating higher fat and nourishing foods, that has allowed me to do that. And my circadian rhythm has stabilized. So when I wake up in the morning, it's usually around dawn, and I am ready to get up and go about the day. And I'm happy to get up. I don't lay in bed. I don't want to go back to sleep to escape. I want to get up and start the day. And I have never been that person. I don't think I've ever been that kind of person. I certainly wasn't that person when my kids were young. I was certainly not that person when I was a teenager or in my 20s. That is very important to me now because I'm getting older and life is moving and life is passing us by. And I want to spend time and have these experiences with my loved ones. So, this is a big one. So, I did not ever have I didn't have healthy eating habits. You know, I restricted and I would go overboard. I would have, I didn't eat foods that nourished my body. I ate low fat, I ate restriction, not eating a lot, and then going overboard and eating everything. I was always obsessed with food, was fixated with food, all of the food noise, all of those things. And what are we going to eat next? And, planning it days and days in advance. All of my emotions were tied to food. And now I have food freedom. And it's the most incredible thing. It allows me to focus on what matters and what's important to me. And I'm not a victim. It's not this albatross weighing me down anymore. And if that means that I don't have something that, I used to have years ago or a couple years ago at Thanksgiving, I am okay with that. It is worth it. The seventh thing is stomach issues, bathroom issues, bloating, gas, pain, regularity. I don't have to deal with any of that. I don't have problems. If I eat something, if I eat steak or if I eat hamburgers or if I eat eggs and bacon, I'm not going to have a stomach ache immediately. I'm not going to have any kind of acid reflux. I'm not going to have bloating and not being able to go to the bathroom, bent over in pain. And I dealt with that. If I never have to urgently go to the bathroom again with stomach pains and the cold sweats, I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with that, because that takes up a lot of space too. And it's embarrassing. I'm being nourished by the food that I do eat. Don't have decision fatigue like I used to. Anytime in the past when I did a diet, there are so many possibilities that I would be overwhelmed. I would be so overwhelmed. So I gave up the notion of having lots of things in moderation and having to deal with that, or, lots of ingredients for cooking. Because, I don't like to cook. I don't like to have 6, 7, 8 different things. I, I like to keep it simple, because otherwise I get decision paralysis, overanalysis paralysis. Oh, but what about this? And we have to have this and this and this. And I don't have to deal with any of that anymore because I only eat a few things. It eliminates all of that noise. And that's a wonderful thing for me. I improved my health and I feel better. I feel better than I ever have. I continue to want to do things and explore and learn things and spend time with my loved ones. So it's a blessed life, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.